You're just joining, we've just been giving people a couple of minutes of grace to join our event, but I think we should get going now. It's 1:03. Thank you for joining us today for our 60th anniversary virtual open house. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Jenny Reed. I'm Communications and Patient Relations Officer for KDH, and it's my privilege to be your MC today. We have a great program for you this afternoon, but before I run over that, I want to let you know we will be recording this event. So if you happen to run into technical difficulties, don't worry, you'll be able to watch the whole celebration later. We'll make it available on our website and our YouTube channel. The meeting was supposed to be set up so that all participants are on mute, but I would definitely ask our speakers, our presenters, to unmute themselves when it's their turn to speak. So feel free to mute yourself if you're not one of our presenters. You'll see in the chat section, we'd like you to let us know where you're joining from today. And just to let you know, we'll be saving the chat as well for posterity. So our program is going to begin with several speeches from honored guests representing all 4 levels of government, as well as from senior leaders at KDH, the KDH Foundation and the KDH Auxiliary. Then we're going to show you a video that our friends at Cogeco have made for us with pictorial highlights of KDH's illustrious history, as well as greetings from several KDH alumni and some of the key partners that we work with. After that, our resident historian, Lynn Clifford Ward from my department, will provide us with an illustrated short history of KDH. We will follow that with a presentation from our VP of Nursing and Clinical Services, Kathy Burke, RN, on the role of nursing at KDH over the decades. And then our VP of Corporate Services, Lana Leclerc, will share a few words about the KDH workforce and its connection to the community throughout our history. Following that, our board chair, Robert Morey, will wrap things up for us. So it's a lot to cover in an hour. So without further ado, I'll ask our CEO, Frank Vassallo, to start things off for us.
Thank you very much, Jenny. I hope just a sound check. Could you hear me?
Yeah.
Yep, great, thank you. Well, I'm delighted to join you in celebrating the 60th anniversary of the Kemptville District Hospital. On this special anniversary, we look back over a legacy of healthcare that spans 6 decades from the great era of hospital building in Ontario, which started in the 1960s. When KDH was first built, it was considered a state-of-the-art hospital. Through the story of KDH, we see the story of medical care in this community and indeed in this province, as it grew from modest origins to the modern array of services and programs from which we expect and receive so much. KDH has crafted a distinguished legacy since it first opened its doors on June 29th, 1960. It would never have existed but for the generosity of this community, and it was simple human kindness and generosity that sustained it financially over the early years. Today, that kindness is still at its heart, operating now in a formidable partnership with government to ensure the best care for our patients and families and a high quality, safe work environment to support our staff and physicians. There is a particularly pertinent saying that summarizes today's virtual gathering. Let those who drink the water remember with gratitude those who dug the well. KDH has its list of innovations and firsts that will be highlighted later by Lynn Clifford Ward, our resident historian and archivist. But let me say that behind each of those highlights is the relentless dedication, curiosity, and concern for humanity that insists on pursuing the improvement of the human condition. Behind every piece of new technology, every complex life-saving machine, there are people who commit their lives to our healthcare. Today is my opportunity to salute, thank, and encourage those exceptional people who work in our midst. I want to tell all of you how very proud I am of you, how blessed we are to have you working at KDH. Your professional work calls for skills and training of the highest order, but it also calls for an attitude and a value system in which no matter how tired or pressured you are feeling, and we've gone through a major round of that over the last 3 months, the patient feels only your care and your concern. And before I round out my comments, I would like to read a note from a patient who took the time to write us a few words, and this really reflects on what I just mentioned about the care and concern that we bestow upon our patients and families. Hi, my name is Fern Detweiler, maiden name Butler. I would like to congratulate the hospital on 60 years. I may have been one of the first patients in your hospital back in early 1961. I was a 7-year-old little girl. My parents, Hazel and Cyril Butler, family doctor at the time was Dr. Wilson in Manotick, had suggested I go to an Ottawa hospital for my hernia operation. But my parents had the physician arrange with staff at your hospital to have my surgery there. From the picture of the nurses that hang in the hospital's upper lobby, we were shown on Facebook recently. I remember those crisp white uniforms and hats. As scared as I was, those nurses helped me through it. I don't know their names. I do know that everyone treated me so very well. My family would again like to send our best wishes to all of you on this very special day. Thank you, Fern Detweiler. And that's just one sample of many, many letters we've received over the last 60 years that warm our hearts immensely. All of the staff, physicians, and volunteers who dedicate their lives to treating and serving others. So on that note, I'd like to turn it over to Jenny to introduce a wide array of presenters who will bring their best wishes and congratulations on our anniversary. So over to you, Jenny. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Frank. Words. First up, I'm going to call on the Honorable Michael Barrett, our MP for Leeds, Grenville, Thousand Islands, and Rideau Lakes.
Well, thanks very much for inviting me to be a part of this celebration, this virtual open house. For 60 years, a few years longer than I've been around, the Kemptville District Hospital has provided top-notch care to not just the people of Kemptville, but to the wider community. And folks have come to KDH in their time of need, knowing that the care that they would receive would be second to none. It would be world-class. It's been excellent care provided to people in their own community by people who live in their community. Now, over the course of the pandemic, we've really put our healthcare system to the test. We've put everyone who works in our hospital to the test, and we've asked them, and we've asked folks who are an important part of our hospital system to stay on the sidelines. We've asked our volunteers to sit this out in a lot of ways. And so we've put everyone in a really tough position, and everyone has shone through, and the results that we've seen in our community with record low infection rates in comparison to other places around the world, that is the product of the hard work and the dedication of everyone who had to put in the overtime and everyone who had to, against all of their urges to serve their community, to sit this one out. So to all of those people, I say thank you very much. And this is just a testament to the incredible team at the hospital. And I've spoken with Frank a few times over the past few months, and I've shared with him just how incredibly proud I am, how incredibly proud we should all be of everyone that works at the hospital. So I want to say thank you. I want to take this opportunity to say thank you to all of you, to everyone that's been involved over the years and this year for what you've done for our community and what you have committed to continue to do. So congratulations, and I wish you another fantastic 60 years to come, because I know that means good health for our community as well. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Michael. Next, I'm going to ask the Honorable Steve Clark to say a few words. Steve, as we all know well, is our MPP for Leeds, Grenville, Thousand Islands, and Rideau Lakes.
Thanks, Jenny. Good afternoon, everyone. We're here this afternoon to celebrate 60 years of outstanding service by the Kemptville District Hospital to our community. But in these unprecedented times, no event our healthcare sector can go without us as a community expressing our heartfelt thanks to the frontline staff for rising to the challenge of COVID-19. Your heroic efforts have helped keep our community safe, and we can't say or do enough to show our appreciation to you. Adapting to new realities like those presented with the coronavirus is something that this amazing hospital and its team have done from the beginning. And as a small hospital, KDH has always had to be nimble to find areas where it can provide specialized services to support its overall operations. And those world-class services like our award-winning hip and knee replacement program have maintained the hospital's well-earned reputation as one of the finest in our province. And in return, the community has always held the hospital very close to its heart as one of our most cherished institutions. And Frank talked about the opening of the hospital on June 29th, 1960, and I read that there were some 2,000 people that attended that opening. And that support from the community has really never wavered over those 6 decades, as demonstrated by the millions of dollars that has been raised in the community in support. And I'm proud that I've been a strong and vocal advocate for the hospital during my 10 years as MPP, and that our government's really recognized the special challenges that small hospitals, and especially small rural hospitals, are facing by the government increasing funding. And last December, I was so very proud to provide nearly $800,000 to KDH. And I'm going to continue to be a strong voice for you in our government to ensure that KDH has the resources that you require to meet today's healthcare challenges. And I'm sad, though, that our circumstances have required us to mark the milestone virtually. But I want to commend everybody involved for organizing today's very special event, because I think we need to celebrate the good in our communities, especially in times that we're experiencing right now. I just want to thank you all for inviting me to be a part of this. And I want to say to the hospital's administration, your team, your staff, your volunteers, the foundation, and your board members, happy 60th anniversary. All the best.
Thank you so much, Steve. Our next speaker today is Mr. Pat Seo. He's the warden for the United Counties of Leeds and Grenville. Pat wasn't able to join us in person, so he sent a video. So I'm just going to pull that up as quickly as I can. There we go.
Honorable Minister and MPP Steve Clark, MP Michael Barrett, Your Worship Mayor Peckford, Mr. Robert Moray, Chair of the Kemptville District Hospital Board, and Ms. Norberg, Chair of the Foundation. And good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Pat Seo, the Warden of the United Counties of Leeds and Grenville, speaking to you from County Council meeting chambers in Brockville. I'm pleased to have been invited to the Kemptville District Hospital 60th anniversary virtual open house, although I must admit that I was looking forward to the Strawberry Social originally planned for today. However, strawberries aside, the purpose of my visit is to bring greetings on behalf of the 10 mayors of the United Counties of Leeds and Grenville and our partners, Prescott, Brockville, and Gananoque. It's always a great pleasure to be invited to an anniversary party such as this, which gives us the opportunity to stop and reflect back on the vision, work, and tenacity of those who came before us and dream the dream which we celebrate today. It's important to remember that the goal did not come easily. Beginning in the late 1940s, under the rallying cry, "This district needs a hospital," the founders articulated the vision and gathered the community around that vision for over a dozen years as they worked their way through various scenarios to finally receiving their letters patent in 1940, and then to the grand opening on June the 29th, 1960. They did not give up. They did not lose sight of their vision. So today, on behalf of the county mayors and the county staff, I bring greetings from the United Counties. Congratulations on 60 years of great service to the residents of the Kemptville District, and to the current board of directors and members of the foundation, our very best wishes for the future role of the Kemptville District Hospital in the healthcare system as the healthcare system continues to evolve to meet the challenges of the future. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Okay, and we're very grateful that Mr. Sayo took the time to record that greeting. Our next speaker today is Nancy Beckford, the mayor of the municipality of North Grenville.
Thanks, everyone. I certainly echo the warden's comments about regretting not being able to celebrate over fresh strawberries. It promised to be an auspicious event, and I'm sure we'll get there, just not right now. So on behalf of my council colleagues in the municipality of North Grenville, I am just thrilled to recognize the 60th anniversary of the Kemptville District Hospital. It is obvious that this hospital has served as a bedrock of our community and a real beacon of light and hope during a number of different occasions, including the ice storm and more recently COVID-19. Like the warden and minister and MP, I would like to pay homage to the early volunteers who well before 1960 had the foresight and tenacity to bring a modern day hospital to the town of Kemptville. They fought hard for a powerful vision, and I have no doubt that there were many, many obstacles along the way. Clearly, their early efforts have borne fruit in ways they would not have imagined, especially when we look at the services offered today. Subsequent efforts, including the early 2000s Lean on Me campaign, which funded a further expansion, are indicative of the support and commitment of businesses, residents, volunteers, board members, staff. We can never take it for granted. North Grenville continues to benefit from the strong leadership of everyone at KDH who believe in innovation, who believe in thinking big and taking a local rural hospital and putting it on the map. As healthcare continues to change and evolve and is challenged by events like global pandemics, I am confident that KDH will be there. Make no mistake, our community loves our local hospital, and KDH reflects the fabric and spirit of North Grenville. Congratulations to all those who got us here today, and best wishes for another remarkable 60 years. Congratulations.
Thank you so much, Nancy. I'm now going to call on Mr. Robert Moray, who's the chair of the Kemptville District Hospital Board of Directors.
Thank you, Jenny. Honored guests and people of our community. In the spirit and understanding that we continue to gain in today's world, we would like to acknowledge the Algonquin Nation, whose traditional and unceded territory we are gathered upon today. My wife and I moved to Kemptville in 1990, which means we have seen and lived the great performance and service the hospital and its people have delivered to our community for 30 of its 60 years. KDH was originally built on the need for better healthcare service in the area, and the hospital has evolved with the times, needs, and growth of the community. The most recent year has been one of challenges and successes as the Kemptville District Hospital family has had to adjust generational events in the ongoing shifting of the way healthcare is delivered in Ontario and the advent of COVID-19 pandemic. The moves into the Ontario Health Team's construct over the past year have allowed those delivering provincial healthcare an opportunity to present and evolve into cohesive partnerships. KDH has been up to the challenge with its leading role in the regional North Rideau Health Alliance submission to the Ministry of Health. It is leading through collaboration, openness, and innovation to the changes necessary that our patients and families will receive the best possible integrated care available. It has been over 100 years since the world last saw a pandemic of the size and breadth we are experiencing. These last 4 months and for the foreseeable future will impact our society, culture, and the way of living and thinking. The bravery, sacrifice, and moves made by our hospital frontline staff, primary care doctors, and administration have kept our community safe and ready to deal with any outbreaks of COVID-19 in an effective and integrated way. These two elephants in the room would be more than enough individually to overpower some organizations, but not our KDH. The leadership we demonstrate as an organization to our community and the province are keys to who we are and who we want to be for the future. It is this spirit that will enable us to be our best in the efforts for gender and racial equality as well. The Patient and Family Advisory Committee provides the necessary grounding to keep us all focused on the immediate and future needs of our patients and families. The heart-shaped patio in front of the hospital commemorates some of those who have passed before us. May we always have the blue light shine brightly on our hospital's heart. Miigwech. Thank you. Merci.
Thank you very much, Robert. Next, we're delighted that Dr. Penny McGregor, who's our Chief of Staff at KDH, is able to say a few words for us today.
Thank you, Jenny, and thank you for giving me the opportunity. I initially wasn't scheduled to talk because I am on call for the inpatient ward, and I didn't know if I would be a reliable attendee, but I'm happy to be able to just say a few words. When I first started in Kemptville at KDH in 2003, the operating rooms were way at the back of the hospital. They were shuttered and dark, and KDH was then and now well served by a handful of family doctors who covered both the emergency department and the inpatient beds, and they also served their own practices. We at that time had a number of visiting specialists who would provide some consulting clinics, but no active operating rooms. Since then, obviously, Kemptville's come a long way and grown significantly. We now have an even larger number of consulting specialty services and surgeons with active operating rooms, and our services range from orthopedics to general surgery to pediatrics. Our emergency room, however, continues to be served by a large group of family doctors, as is our inpatient ward, and many of those still have practices in North Granville serving the community. KDH and North Granville have been very successful in recruiting new family physicians because of the supportive collegial culture at the hospital and the great efforts of the community that they're happy to be part of. Just recently, I asked one of our newest hospitalists who works in the inpatient ward if he'd like to consider a position on our medical staff association. And his response was that he was so proud and happy to be part of KDH that he would be happy to do what was needed. Many of our doctors express how proud they are to be part of a great team, and I've heard this even more during the recent significant challenges we've all faced with COVID. As the chief of the medical staff, I'm very proud of the doctors that we have with us and the services that we provide. But as a resident of North Grenville myself, I'm also very pleased and so grateful to have KDH here for my family and my community's medical needs. I want to congratulate everybody on 60 great years of service, and here's to 60 more. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, Penny. Our next speaker was to be the KDH Foundation. Unfortunately, they weren't able to have anybody present with us today, but I will read a message that they sent along. So, congratulations, KDH. On behalf of the past and current Foundation Board of Directors, I would like to offer our best wishes on the 60th anniversary of Kemptville District Hospital. The foundation was created in 1979 with many of the same dedicated volunteers who initially raised the funds to build the hospital in 1960. Since that time, the foundation has raised $12 million in support of the hospital. My family, I should say, this is from the board chair, Margaret Norenberg. She says, my family has been involved with the hospital and foundation for 2 generations now. Other community leaders such as Gerald and Louise Tallman, the Perry family, and the late Harry Pratt have made tremendous contributions to this hospital through their work with the foundation. As we move forward during these challenging times, we will continue to find ways to support our hospital to ensure our community has the best in care close to home. And respectfully submitted, Margaret Norenberg, chair of the KDH Foundation Board. And on behalf of the hospital, I'd like to add our thanks. It's the work of the many that makes our community strong. Our thanks to the many, many contributors who have supported KDH through the foundation over the years. And then our final speaker for this segment of the program is Linda Carnegie. She is the new president of the Kemptville District Hospital Auxiliary.
Congratulations, Kemptville District Hospital, on your diamond anniversary. I'm pleased to bring greetings on behalf of the Kemptville District Hospital Auxiliary. Thank you to the organizers in these challenging times for this innovative gathering without the strawberries. 61 years ago, when Kemptville Hospital was a dream emerging into fruition, a call went out for all interested area women to form an auxiliary. 751 women attended that first meeting and began sewing curtains for the hospital. Today, we are an inclusive group of volunteer men and women, much smaller in membership numbers, yet still working very closely with our hospital to provide volunteer services to patients, promoting positive public relations and quality community health care. Volunteers are currently COVIDly anxious to return to our tasks within KDH, operating the gift shop and cafe, helping out in emerge clinics, interim long-term care, and offering requested pastoral care. Annually, we provide 7 full-time equivalents in volunteer hours. Each year, the auxiliary has been fortunate to keep up the tradition of donating funds toward the purchase of equipment related to patient care, as well as bursaries to both local high schools for students furthering their education in healthcare. Most of these funds are a result of our beloved heyday, as well as our tribute fund. Going forward, we may need to revise endeavors of supporting our hospital and bringing comfort to those in need. COVID-19 has everyone thinking of new and better ways of operating. In the meantime, we are blessed to have such a wonderful facility in our community. On behalf of your auxiliary, congratulations, Kemptville District Hospital, on 60 enriched years of service and caring. You would provide a Kemptville area with comfort, reassurance, compassion, and much appreciated exemplary health care.
Oh, thank you so much, Linda. And is that a candy striper uniform that I see in the background?
It is. Doesn't everyone decorate their china cabinet with a candy striper apron?
That's wonderful. Thank you. Okay, so that concludes the speaker segment of our program. And next, I'm going to show you a video that Kojiko has put together for us, showing some of our highlights over the years, and with wonderful greetings from a number of different KDH alumni and partners. I hope you'll enjoy it.
In 2020, Kemptville District Hospital is celebrating 60 years of caring for patients in North Grenville and beyond. June 29th, 1960 was opening day. On that day, members of the KDH Auxiliary provided guided tours to more than 2,000 curious visitors who lined up to see what had been described in the Ottawa Citizen as one of the best designed, most modern hospitals in Canada. The community was already very much invested in KDH, not only in terms of financial donations that had made the construction possible, but also as a result of years of planning and advocacy by a determined group of local volunteers. Over the decades, the hospital and the community have changed and grown side by side through good times and bad. When the Great Ice Storm of 1998 hit Eastern Ontario, KDH, with its diesel generators working at full tilt for weeks, provided food, shelter, and respite from the cold and freezing temperatures. Now, as the community grapples with the ongoing realities of the COVID-19 pandemic, KDH remains a haven of safety and security. For the North Grenville community, having a hospital so close to home is as important now as it has ever been.
My name is Victoria Robertson, and I'm the program manager with Connect Youth. We're excited to continue this journey with all the staff at Kemptville District Hospital. Thank you for your leadership, commitment to our communities, and knowledge. Congratulations on a fantastic 60 years. Happy 60th anniversary.
We celebrate the past to awaken the future, said John F. Kennedy. Congratulations to Kemptville District Hospital on 60 years of excellence, and I look forward to many years of future progress.
I will add my congratulations to the medical staff, the foundation board, the Kemptville Hospital board, and especially to all the staff of all the departments. May the years be prosperous. We have come a long way so far in 6 years. What more can we expect going forward? Thank you.
Great work, Kemptville Hospital. I look forward to many more years of working with you and serving the kids and families in your community. And happy anniversary.
On behalf of Marjorie Hawkins' family, may I express our heartfelt congratulations on achieving this wonderful milestone. and for helping ensure the legacy of perseverance and determination continues on, as was demonstrated in the 60s by my aunt and many others in the community of Kemptville. Congratulations and thank you.
We really can hold our heads high collectively for the hard work that we've done and the hard work that continues to go on. Our young generation of physicians has stepped up nicely, and we have quite a lot of healthy and committed physicians dedicated to keeping Kemptville Hospital functioning efficiently for many years to come. So happy anniversary, Kemptville Hospital.
We're very lucky to have such a wonderful hospital in our community with Kemptville District Hospital. And like many of you, I and my family have experienced excellent care at KDH. I know the hospital is looking forward to the future, looking forward to the challenges and the opportunities, and the hospitals will continue to help build a healthier community for all of us.
As KDH turns 60, we reflect on the many thousands of patients who have been so well cared for within our walls over the decades. We think with gratitude of all the dedicated staff and physicians who have served here, both frontline workers and those that support them, and bear in mind that there are at least 50 different roles that work together to keep the hospital running smoothly. We also think with great gratitude of all of our volunteers who have given their time and their talent, whether as a part of the KDH Auxiliary, on the KDH Board, or the KDH Foundation Board, or in recent years on our Patient and Family Advisory Committee. We are thankful also for the thousands of students who have learned and shared their learnings at KDH. Here's to the next 60 years.
Well, there you go. I really enjoyed that video myself, and I saw lots of smiles on people's faces. So thank you to our friends at Kojiko who did that for us, and everybody that participated. And I would like to say we'll make that available on our website, but also Kojiko got so much great material from Dr. Leonard and Margaret Moore and Lynn Rogers and others that they are making a 30-minute version that they'll be showing on their channel, and we'll also be showing on our YouTube and on our website as well. And even more than that, they also want to make a half-hour interview show about that as well with the video. So we're just so thrilled that they've done this for us. So that's the very next thing that's going to happen, and this has been alluded to a couple of times. Lynn Clifford Ward from my department is going to give us an illustrated short history of KDH. So sit back and enjoy, and I'm going to be showing a PowerPoint while Lynn talks.
Well, good afternoon. I'm so pleased to be here today for this illustrated talk, and I hope you'll enjoy this short history of Kemptville District Hospital. It is the hospital that the community built. Though today we are celebrating KDH's opening day on June 29th, 1960, it may come as a surprise that Kemptville District Hospital actually began as an idea decades earlier. In fact, there were at least 3 prior attempts to bring a public hospital to Kemptville. The first was a 1939 plan for the Red Cross to administer a 10-bed hospital based in a private home. However, the local council did not favor the idea. In 1946, the Rotary Club spearheaded a hospital drive, but again, without success. Then, in 1954, a small group of businessmen recognized the urgent need for a hospital, as well as the business opportunities it would offer. Within months of their application, they received letters patent from the province and a charter to build and to operate a hospital. Yet, despite this, due to a lack of finances, the project stalled again. The final and successful impetus to build KDH came, perhaps rather surprisingly, from Winchester District Hospital in 1958, when that hospital declared it no longer had the capacity to care for residents of the Kemptville area. This meant a sprawling rural area with a population of approximately 10,000 residents did not have access to a hospital within a 20-mile radius. This was the call to action to build KDH. A committee was soon struck to select a provisional hospital board. In short order, G.A. Brakely and Company institutional consultants were retained to organize the fundraising campaign. More than 400 residents attended a public meeting and they voted to build. Next, a temporary hospital committee was created, including 5 of the 8 members of the provisional board. By mid-May 1958, architects Belhari, Helmer, and Morin of Ottawa had been engaged, and they proposed a $500,000 plus project. $50,000 in grants was secured from the United Counties, and $168,000 was promised in other government grants. A 6-day blitz canvass in June with a target of $250,000 actually raised $282,800. This is the equivalent today of more than $2 million. And this was done with the help of service clubs and the community. The Kemptville Advance called it a magnificent display of community spirit. Local doctors also championed the idea to build KDH, including Doctors Beamish, Flay, Wilson, and Jones. Dr. Dennis Jones will be known to many. For more than 50 years, he treated generations of Kemptville area families, passing away in 2019 at the age of 91. In early August of 1958, plans were approved by the Ontario Hospital Services Commission. By the end of September, the 6-acre site that KDH now sits on had been purchased. Construction tenders were called on November 10th, and the sod was turned the following day. In January 1959, the construction contract was awarded to H.J. McFarland Company of Picton. That same month, Miss Margaret Story, RN, Chairman of Women's Activities on the Temporary Hospital Committee, issued a call to all interested in forming a women's auxiliary. Her appeal far exceeded her expectations. By April, 751 members had subscribed. With a threefold purpose of public relations, volunteer service, and fundraising, auxiliary members worked tirelessly, raising money for medical equipment through bake sales, dances, and the like, supplying and repairing bed linens, towels, and curtains for the hospital, and much, much more. Helen Patterson, the first auxiliary president, called the auxiliary the tie that binds the community to the hospital. By May of 1959, the concrete foundations for KDH had been poured, and by June, basic plumbing was in place. The first story was completed in September, and in November, as winter approached, the furnace and the elevator were installed. In January of 1960, KDH's first administrator, Miss Marjorie Hawkins, RN, was hired. Her long nursing career included the experience of serving for 4 years as a nursing sister officer with the Royal Canadian Army Medical Corps in Bruges, Belgium during World War II. She would lead KDH with great fortitude for 15 years, building strong bridges with the community. By February of 1960, escalating construction costs demanded an additional fundraising campaign to raise a further $147,000. Because the community had already given so generously, this campaign was aimed primarily at national corporations that did business in the area. Once again, the campaign was a success. In March of that year, the first permanent board of directors was installed. And then the great day finally arrived, June 29th, 1960, when the hospital doors opened for the very first time. The ribbon cutting was performed by Dr. M.B. Diamond, then Minister of Health for Ontario, and Miss Hawkins. And more than 2,000 curious visitors took guided tours that day, organized by Lois Latimer, RN, the the first full-time nurse hired by Miss Hawkins. Visitors were keen to see what had been described in the Ottawa Citizen as, quote, the castle in the sky, and one of the best designed, most modern hospitals in Canada. A year later, in 1961, a significant milestone occurred in healthcare with the introduction of Ontario Hospital Insurance, now OHIP. No longer did patients need to pay $20.10 per day for their hospital stay. Hospital care was now accessible to all. In 1964, Ms. Hawkins triumphantly led KDH to its first accreditation, the smallest hospital in Ontario at the time to achieve this significant accomplishment. But before long, the hospital had outgrown its space, and so a sod-turning ceremony was held December 6, 1967, just at the close of Canada's centennial year. KDH's first edition would include an emergency OR, physiotherapy department, an X-ray room downstairs, with a sunroom for mobile patients upstairs. This new wing was officially opened on April 26, 1969, again by Dr. Diamond, who unveiled a plaque with honorary chair W.B. George and board chair Mike Kotlerchuk. Ms. Hawkins unlocked the doors to the new ER wing, and more than 300 guests were given guided tours by KDH's new Candy Stripers. A decade later, in 1979, the Kemptville District Hospital Foundation came into being to support KDH by fundraising for essential medical equipment not provided for by government funding. One of the foundation's many early champions was the late Harry Pratt. And in the spring of 1989, Harry, then chair of the hospital board of directors, helped launch the opening of the public health unit, which was built at the north end of the KDH campus, the hospital's second edition. The following year saw the closure of the KDH obstetrics ward. It's estimated that 3,000 babies were born at KDH over the decades, but when the number of deliveries over the course of a year dwindled to 25, the program was closed. In 1998, when the Great Ice Storm hit Eastern Ontario, the hospital assumed a leadership role in the community, running its generators at full tilt and providing a warm haven of safety and security, as well as hot meals. In 2002, the KDH Health Center opened on the hospital campus across from the ER. This was an initiative of the KDH Board of Directors looking beyond hospital walls. The board's goal was to bring family physicians to Kemptville to address the shortage at that time, and it did just that. Then it was time to grow again. A new two-story wing was planned to house a state-of-the-art emergency department and diagnostic imaging suite on the lower level, and on the upper level, ultra-modern operating rooms, surgical daycare center, and additional inpatient beds. In 2004, the KDH Foundation launched its Lean on Me capital campaign to raise the $5 million needed for this major redevelopment. And once again, the community responded with an outpouring of support, just as they did in 1958. The auxiliary also pledged $100,000 towards the new mammography technology for the diagnostic imaging suite. Groundbreaking for the redevelopment took place on May 29, 2009, and the grand opening was celebrated on September 29, 2010. The Tallman family joyfully cut the ribbon at the entrance to the new ER that bears their name. That year also coincided with the 50th anniversary of KDH, a fact that was reflected in the Flower Power theme of the grand opening, which included a Beatles cover band, the Olympic athletes, and a giant inflatable beaver. With the 2010 physical transformation, new opportunities and partnerships were possible. In the fall of 2011, KDH became one of a handful of small hospitals in North America to perform total joint replacement surgery. In 2012, KDH achieved accreditation with exemplary standing, accreditation's Canada's highest rating. That same year, the KDH Board of Directors received the Bill Fake Economic Development Leadership Award from the United Counties of Leeds and Grenville in recognition of its leadership in the multi-million-dollar redevelopment project and the launch of the Total Joint Replacement Program. In 2013, the KDH Auxiliary celebrated a significant milestone. Its total financial contributions to the hospital since its founding in 1959 topped $1 million. The auxiliary's total is now nearing 1.5 million, thanks in large part to Heyday, its major annual garage sale fundraiser, now in its 60th year. Only the demolition of the Kemptville Arena in 1967 and the current COVID-19 pandemic has ever canceled this beloved event. Also, in 2013, KDH opened its convalescent care unit, a short-stay rehabilitative program that allows members of the community to recover close to home. In its 2016 accreditation, KDH was again awarded exemplary standing, this time with an unheard of perfect score. This meant that the hospital met 100% of the nearly 2,000 criteria used to measure the quality of care and services that KDH provides. In 2017, KDH opened its new clinic wing on the upper level of the hospital, where 4,000 square feet of underutilized space was modernized to double KDH's array of outpatient services and attract more specialists to Kemptville. Again, this was made possible by the support of the community through the KDH Foundation, which marked its 40th anniversary in 2019. To date, the foundation has raised a total of $12 million for patient care at KDH. That same year, the auxiliary celebrated its 60th anniversary year. KDH's further evolution now sees the hospital looking beyond its walls more and more. KDH has become a leader in building and facilitating partnerships among health service organizations in the region with an aim of improving the coordination and integration of care. In May of last year, KDH was the site of the launch of the new Child and Youth Mental Health and Addictions Health Hub, now known as WAY, Wellness Access for Youth. This is an initiative KDH has been working on with more than 20 community partners since early 2018. This much needed initiative to increase access for children and youth to mental health and addiction services will be incorporated into the Ontario Health Team that KDH is currently working with its many partners to develop. KDH continues to serve the community with innovation and visionary leadership, often in ways completely unimaginable 6 decades ago. What remains constant is this: the hospital is the heart of a vibrant community which has served and cared for generations of local people. And its success in its healthcare journey, like the campaign by the hospital committee so long ago in 1958, is in no small way due to outstanding community support, not only in its stewardship, but in time, talent, and treasure. Happy 60th anniversary, KDH.
Thank you so much, Lynn. So much work went into that, and I'm so happy we have that for the historical record going forward to recognize our anniversary. Next up on our program, I'm going to call on my colleague, Kathy Burke, RN, who is our VP of Nursing and Clinical Services, to say a few words for us about the role of nursing at KDH over the years.
Thank you, Jenny. We have a great legacy of nursing here at KDH. It all started with our first administrator, Miss Marjorie Hopkins, RN. Her long nursing career began with her training at Pembroke Cottage Hospital, and as Lynn mentioned earlier, it included 4 years with the Royal Canadian Army Medical Corps during World War II, overseeing a 1,200-bed hospital in Bruges, Belgium. Ms. Hawkins' role at KDH was critical, administering the entire hospital and organizing every facet of KDH's operations. Ms. Hawkins was respected by one and all, and she showed considerable respect for everyone under her administration. The staff found her open door policy and respect of their opinions very helpful. Most problems were resolved with relative ease. Ms. Hawkins nurtured KDH and watched it grow with pride. The preceding sentiments were expressed by the first nurse that Ms. Hawkins hired in April of 1960, 2 months before KDH's doors opened. She is Lois Latimer, RN. And although she is not able to attend our virtual celebration today, I'd like to share some comments she made about nursing at KDH and the changes that she saw in nursing practice over her 53 years association with our hospital. In 1960, her first year at KDH, Lois did general nursing duty and assisted in both the OR and in central supply where the OR instruments were sterilized. In addition, she helped with scheduling and was acting assistant head nurse for 6 months. Lois had been nursing for 5 years, having trained at the Ottawa Civic Hospital. Not long after Lois and her husband Howard started their family, for the next few years, Lois worked occasional shifts at KDH until deciding in 1996 to take a sabbatical from nursing to raise her 3 children. 18 years later, in 1980, Lois returned to the nursing at KDH. The hospital had grown in the intervening years with the construction of the 2 new additions. Moreover, she found that nursing profession itself had undergone substantial changes. Nurses now started IVs, and their duties in providing cardiac and palliative care had altered drastically. After taking additional training in cardiac monitoring and obstetrics, Lois did general duty nursing at KDH until 1992 when she retired. Lois's association with KDH was not over, however. She joined the hospital auxiliary and volunteered regularly from her retirement until 2009 when she moved to Kingston. Despite the changes in nursing practice over the years and further changes within the hospital itself, the KDH nursing tradition of respect, professionalism, compassion has never wavered. An example of this in recent years is the nomination in 2018 of 3 of our nurses for the National Hospital News Nursing Hero Awards, which celebrate nurses for their care and compassion and for going above and beyond for patients. A much more recent example is the public outpouring of gratitude for our nurses during the COVID-19 pandemic. They bravely come to work every day, not knowing what they will face, and carry out their duties, exhibiting the same qualities they always have. I am honored to be a part of the current nursing team at KDH in this, our 60th anniversary. Together we will carry on the proud tradition that begun in 1960.
Wow, thank you so much, Kathy. That was wonderful. Lana, I'm now going to call on my colleague Lana Leclerc, and Lana's our VP of Corporate Services, and she's going to share with us a few words about the KDH workforce and their connection to the community.
Thanks, Jenny. So I want to talk about our people, our employees, physicians, volunteers, contract workers, partners, vendors, everyone that has a hand in making KDH what it is. You hear it often, that a workplace is its people, and that is very true of KDH. What I think makes us special is our people. We are a hospital the community built, and we stay a hospital of the community. We have staff who are born at KDH. We have staff whose parent, siblings, or cousins work here too. We have staff who grow up together, whose families know each other, who are close. We have people who have lived in our community all of their lives, and some that have moved here, made it their home, and who want to give back. What we have is our community within our walls. Healthcare workers by their nature are caregivers, compassionate, empathetic, and kind. We see it every day in how they, all of you, deliver care. What's special is all those that work and serve here at KDH are reminded time and time again that those that we are delivering care to are family, our community. This is what gives us extra meaning to all that we do. This meaning behind our work, it's the reason KDH has the reputation of delivering exceptional care. When you talk to staff, They speak to the pride it gives them to work for their community, to feel they are part of something good. Ralph Waldo Emerson said, "The purpose of life is not to be happy. It is to be useful, to be honorable, to be compassionate, and have it make some difference that you have lived and lived well." This, I think, describes all those connected to KDH. I wanted to take this opportunity to recognize all the past and present staff at KDH, those within our walls that deliver direct care, those that support that delivery, and those outside our walls, like our vendors and our partners that are there when we need them. I want to end though saying, on behalf of all of those people, that we are lucky to be working at KDH, to have the opportunity to be useful, compassionate, and to know we have and are making a difference. Happy anniversary, KDH.
Thank you, Lana, so much. I know I see a lot of smiles again. I know we all share those sentiments 100%, so thank you. Before I ask Robert to wrap things up, Frank has a couple of things that he'd like to mention.
Thanks very much, Jenny. I'll be very brief. As the CEO of Kemptville District Hospital, let me add, a very proud CEO of Kemptville District Hospital, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention a few things about our future. In short order, our future is very bright. You've heard over the last almost an hour the great legacy that we have here at KDH. We've done great work since the total joint replacement program was introduced almost 10 years ago. A lot of people don't realize this, but based on our great work, our great staff physician profile in our ORs, we've leaped forward from our total joint replacement program to launch a spinal surgery program, both the orthopedic component and the neurological component. We're the only small hospital in Eastern Ontario doing that, and it's based on our great team. We're about to enter, when things settle down a bit, a strategic planning cycle, but I want to ensure everybody it'll be a very broad-based consultation engagement program. We're going to make sure all of our community partners and the public that we're so honored to serve participates in that dialogue to help map out our future. We know one thing, though, that we'll be doing as much regionalization as we do now with the Ottawa Hospital and other hospitals in our region. I think that's the era that we're heading into. All of us are stronger than one of us, as it were. And I think before I pass it on to Jenny and Bob, I think the future looks very bright for us, not because of what you heard about KDH today, but everybody else outside our walls who supports us, our great community partners, our great political leaders at the federal, provincial, municipal level, and last but not least, a very passionate, generous community who donates their money, their time, their efforts, and their passion to make us successful. So on that, stay tuned for more news of our future, but again, very proud to be your CEO and very proud to participate in the celebration today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Frank. And I appreciate everybody's attention. I know we've gone over a couple of minutes, but I would just like to call on Robert Moray, our board chair, again, just to provide some concluding remarks for us. And thanks from me for everybody who attended today.
Thank you, Jenny. Everybody's been so well spoken, and really the sentiment of our community, the fact that we're all here today and have been in various forms and shapes for the last 60 years, delivering what is the best possible patient and family services as possible for our community. I think that is always been, since I've been on the board, and will always be going forward, what we have to keep first and foremost in front of us, because that's who our community is, and they have a right to expect that from us. And you know what? It's so natural to be around people. whether it's the frontline staff, our contributing doctors, our admin staff, all the volunteers at the various levels. It's always been, you know, gratifying to be part and parcel of that. It calls to mind the famous line from the poem of Flanders Fields, John McCrae's Flanders Fields, where it says, "To you from failing hands we throw the torch, be yours to hold it high." And I think from the people that started it back in 1954, the torch has been held very high, and we look forward to carrying that tradition on in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and thank you again, everybody, for attending. And as I mentioned, we will be recording, or we have been recording, and we'll be posting this on our website. And stay tuned. Bye, everybody.